Good day, investors. I'm Rachel McVeary, Senior Investing Editor at U.S. News and World Report, and I'm here with the contributors to Advisors Corner, all of them financial advisors, to talk about trends in gold investment now. Gold is at all-time highs, and for some, that might mean waiting for demand to cool down, but what's really going on with gold now? Should you dedicate a portion of your portfolio to this safe haven investment if you haven't done it before? Should you step it up if you already have an investment? So today we have Julie Pinkerton, Chartered Financial Consultant and CEO of Vozen LLC, and founder of Client First, a fintech platform that connects independent investment, insurance, tax, and legal professionals. We have Scott Ward, who's a certified financial planner with Compound Planning as a specialist in retirement transition strategies, and he's a national ambassador for the CFP board. We have Margarita Chang, a certified financial planner, member of the board of directors for the CFP Board of Standards, and founder of Blue Ocean Global Wealth. And Kate Stalter is a Series 65 licensed financial author and all-around investing expert who started up an RIA, and she's launched an exchange-traded fund advisory. She's done all sorts of things. Okay, and so what do you think the trends are happening in gold now? I mean, it's pretty obvious it's going up. Today's headline was gold mining stocks are up 135% year to date compared to the S&P's 15% as of today. So what trends do you see are happening in gold, and what should investors do, whether they're already invested or thinking about doing it for the first time? Could we start with Kate on this?
Sure. I have right in front of me as we're speaking is the chart for the GLD ETF, which has just been on a tear for the past 7 weeks or so. And a lot of this, has to do, there's a couple things going on, lower interest rates and a lot of anticipation around that. And then you've got central banks that have all been saying that they're adding more gold in the next year, that they're planning to do that. So it's not necessarily just investors chasing a rally, but of course, you're always going to have some FOMO in there, right? People don't want to miss out on this. But you've got governments stocking up as well. So, as always, of course, people like to use gold as a hedge, not necessarily as a growth engine, a small allocation, maybe 2 to 5%, use the ETFs. And I always get a little nervous when I hear people asking too many questions about gold, because I always want to just say, simmer down. This should just be part of your allocation.
Does everyone agree with that generally, or does anyone have something to add?
I think that's well said. There's so much turmoil and anxiety in the markets for it because the headlines every day are quite dramatic in some cases. And I think people have learned a whole lot more about gold because it has been in the news a lot more often. And so there's just a lot more general interest for that basis.
And there are ETFs available for gold as well. You don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. Anybody else?
Yeah, so just to pivot, add to what Kate said, countries around the world, central banks are adding to their stockpiles of gold. Currently, as of the end of July, countries around the world own 36,359 metric tons of gold. And if you were to stack those gold bars on top of each other, they would be a tower that would be so high that they would surpass the height of the Statue of Liberty.
Wow. Um, Rita, did you have any comment on this one?
Well, this is what's interesting. I mean, we are in uncertain times, and when uncertainty and inflation persists, gold is perceived as a safe haven. Now, the talk of the town was like, oh my goodness, Bitcoin is going to be the new gold. We actually haven't seen that the case because gold does have lower correlations to the equity markets than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been a little bit more volatile. So I agree with what everyone was saying. There's other ways in which you can get it other than buying gold bars and stacking them in your safe.
Yeah. And what about other metals now? Like rare earths is getting a lot of attention, and silver's done well as well. So Are those equally attractive to gold in your view, or what separates them from gold as a potential investment?
Well, in particular, rare earths, for their practicality. I mean, we need them for things like, EVs, defense purposes. So, yeah, I mean, there's some real traction there, I think, with rare earth minerals.
Okay.
I love the rare earth minerals because I think that it's fascinating to know that we have some of the largest concentrations of lithium right here in the United States. And obviously, with tariffs in the news, et cetera, it's nice to be able to have that kind of energy, and metals independence. The brine that comes off of lithium in the Smackover Formation, which is an old Jurassic Age formation that spans across 5 states. But most of the interest right now is in the eastern Texas and south part of Arkansas. And that is the largest source of bromine in practically the world. And
Mhm.
so we have the ability, I believe that they said we have lithium reserves that are 9 times the annual worldwide demand for electric vehicles. Think about from a geopolitical standpoint, what kind of dominance that gives our country in a lot of areas, not just in domestic product.
And just today we have the Trump in the news, the Trump administration dealing with USA Rare Earths to come up with some sort of arrangement. We don't know yet, I don't think.
Oh,
But this is similar with what happened with Lithium Americas Corp the other day with the administration taking a 5% stake in the Thacker Pass project.
yep.
So yeah, so I just wanted to touch on again, has the rise of crypto impacted investing in gold, if at all?
Yeah, I think the thing is for a lot of people, I mean, people are obviously looking for, high returns and exciting places. And crypto, gives that for a lot of them. But it is one of those scenarios, has been said before, that there is less volatility in gold. And so for different advisors, either of them, can have a big impact.
Okay. Does anybody have any last thoughts on gold or silver or rare earths?
Well,
Yeah,
sure.
when
I was going to
oh,
suggest platinum. Platinum is something that
Platinum,
we can
yes.
also be considering. It plays a very important role. So one last point, what Julie was saying, yes, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, when times are prosperous or the stock market is cooperating, your positive returns can be magnified. But if the stock market, any financial markets for that matter, because they are closely correlated, it's not cooperating, well, your losses can also be amplified.
Amplified. That's a very good point. And so again, maybe an ETF or some kind of method for diversifying would help with that.
Yeah, so
Um,
so gold has a long history. Since the Roman Empire, if you remember back in history studying the Roman Empire, the soldiers didn't want to be paid in currency. They didn't trust the paper. They wanted to be paid in gold. And so, it assuaged those concerns. And traditionally, gold has been looked at as an inflationary hedge. I think most planners would say that's probably not the best fit for in the plan. It's probably, to Rita's point earlier, more of a diversifier. It doesn't correlate with other types of investments like equities. I would say if you're trying to combat inflation, I don't know of any other type of instrument other than equities that has had as much consistent um, outperformance in terms of inflation or fighting inflation over time.
so
Yeah.
crypto is a different type of diversifier than gold and doesn't necessarily take the place of, gold in someone's portfolio. Would you say that's accurate?
So well said.
Oh, great.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. But to your point earlier, I think it's important to stay curious about cryptocurrency because I think there's real validity in terms of its future. I think there's a real there, but it also is very volatile. It's the only security I know that you can have enough in the morning, your value of cryptocurrency to be able to buy a new vehicle, but by the time you get to the car lot, you may not even be able to afford an Uber ride home.
That's very memorable analogy. Thank you. And so I appreciate you all participating in this chat. This has been interesting. And thanks for joining us for this roundtable discussion, viewers. And you can check out related articles in the links below.